Welcome to Angelo's Tennis. High school tennis. I'm going to specifically talk about high school tennis in my area. I'm not sure if it's the same in other areas. I'm sure it's different depending on where you are. But high school tennis is so dividing. Actually, tennis in general is so dividing. And this is part of the reason why things are the way they are. So, in my area, you have the mindset, just the local mindset is that you have high school, let's just say the Cougars. They name they name these high schools. Like my high school was named the Crusaders. In my area, we have the Crusaders, the Panthers, the Rams, the Cougars. Let's just say the Cougars. The Cougars are going up against the Crusaders, and there's just this mentality of, we're the Cougars, you're the Crusaders, and you're not us, and we're not you, and we're against each other. It's a competition. So in tennis, this becomes really problematic because you have, let's say, you have five singles players, and of course, the number one in most of these high schools, the number one is on such a higher level than, say, the number five. In fact, the number one can't even play with the number two or three, or doesn't want to play with the two or three. Definitely isn't playing with the four or five because they're so much better. And of course, the number one for the Cougars can't play with the number one for the Crusaders because they're 10 minutes across town, and that's outside of their local zone. See, when I was younger, I remember where I live, we had the East Shore and the West Shore. And I used to love going to the West Shore. In fact, we used to go to the West Shore. We used to go 40 minutes out to do some things, which I'm not going to mention. And, so many of the people outside of my small sphere of friends would never do this. They would never go outside of their high school to hang out with people. And I was totally against that. I always wanted to go and branch out to different high schools in different areas. And in tennis, this is very much, very, very much a problem because it feeds the coach, it feeds the tennis lesson dynamic, the tennis lesson paradigm, because often the number one will only take lessons. That's where he or she will get their practice from. They'll get their tournament play, which they will do maybe once a month. So they're not playing matches or competitive tennis as nearly as much as they could be or should be doing. So why is this problematic? Other than that, what also feeds this idea that you're better, or that you're in competition, or that you're different, your differences, like the Cougars and the Crusaders, your differences are like you're against this person, and you're against this team, and this is very at a young age, from a learner perspective, this is very toxic because you actually need each other to get better. This is the primary way you're going to get better. But it feeds this mindset of an enemy. Like the Crusaders are enemies. We need to treat them as enemies. We need to stay away from them, etc. And now in other sports, this isn't so much of a problem. Like take football, for example. The Cougars football team is stacked usually with athletes, and this can be similar. It can still be a similar problem. It's a different sport. It's a different dynamic. But it could be very similar, but it's more, I would say it's more of a problem for tennis. We think of football, baseball, basketball. There's usually enough competitors on the team to really compete with each other, etc. But the other thing, even with just high school, it's not just high school. It starts in junior high. And in my area, we had this thing called the junior team tennis. When I was working my club, I really noticed this as well. And it's not like a huge problem, but in the beginning, it could be a problem because it really cut into the bottom line in the beginning of growing a tennis program, because all these kids are going to what's called the junior team tennis. And it's not just about the money. They'd go to this junior team tennis practice, which is, you would think the junior team tennis is bringing people together from different areas, but it's not. All the teams are from different areas. So you have the Cougars have their junior high team as well on this junior team tennis. And then you have the Crusaders will have their junior team. And they'll often call each other as the Cougars and the Crusaders, leading right up to high school. And of course, the competition is terrible. The match format is terrible. The junior team tennis format is all about team. It's rarely real competition. It's rarely real, what I would call real tennis, especially in my area. And it continues to feed this divisiveness amongst young tennis players. And I'm more or less okay. Actually, there's really no need to ever think this way. It really goes right into college. However, if you wanted to use this as a form of competition or motivation, thing for motivation, it definitely is unnecessary up until high school, especially in junior high and elementary school. And I'm not sure they do this in other countries, but here in the United States, we're so spoiled in athletics. This is common. This is common, and this is the case. And it's definitely never going to go away. I do think it's also has to do with like a local mindset that people have, and they're kind of like slowly growing and expanding their awareness